Hi guys, in this video we are going to take up a sociological topic. So the topic is why women's fonts were banned in Ghazipur village of Rajasthan. So it's a sociological explanation, but it's very important for your ethics paper, your essay, your interview, and also for your GS1 society areas. Okay, so it's a sociological explanation, very important for sociology students, but at the same time, others also cannot ignore it. So I hope all of you know the incident that recently a Jati Panchayat or a Kha Panchayat in Ghazipur village of Rajasthan have passed an order, right, banning smartphones for married women. And that video went viral, and you can see public reactions that range from outrage to ridicule, even calling it as, Tughlaki decision. But sociology always teaches us something which is very important. The issue is not just about smartphones. It's about power. It's about control. It's about women's autonomy. It's about authority. It's about patriarchy, and it has much more to tell. So when society debates technology, as a sociologist, we ask something deeper, and our questions are deeper, right? Who controls the access, and why is it so? And again, if you look at technology, it's never neutral. At first glance, technology appears to be neutral. A smartphone is just a device, but is it so? In reality, when women gain access to smartphones, they also gain access to information, access to communication, social networks, awareness of their rights, and emotional and economic independence. And this access that directly challenges the patriarchal authority and the caste based social control. So, when social traditions or the traditional power structures feel threatened, they do not attack ideas openly. Instead, they target technology and regulate women's behavior. So, this is a kind of indirect attack, you can say. And again, let's look at from the patriarchy perspective. See, the control within the private sphere is what I'm going to discuss according to Sylvia Walby. If you're a sociology student, you might have read about this, right? Patriarchy operate through both public and private domain, public patriarchy and private patriarchy. Private patriarchy means something which we see in our family, our own groups, like that. Public patriarchy means something which you experience at the societal level, something which you experience at the wider reality, something which you experience at your job place, right? These are what you mean by private patriarchy within family, outside family, in simple terms, public patriarchy. So this case actually represents a kind of private patriarchy where the control is exercised through family norms. And Kha Panchayat is actually a clan, it's a group, right? It's a clan group. So here it's through family norms, the clan norms, the community surveillance, and the moral policing. And when you're banning the smartphones, what the panchayat is restricting, the panchayat is restricting women's communication, women's mobility, and women's autonomy. So the objective is very simple. That is basically to maintain that patriarchy, maintain the male dominance by limiting women's independent interaction with rest of the world. So I hope this much is very clear. So that's a patriarchal perspective. I can use Sylvia Walby here, private patriarchy and public patriarchy. So this is something which you can consider as private because it's within a group. Right. Now, coming to the functionalist perspective. So, here you will see social order as justification, right? From a functionalist perspective, traditional institutions, what they try to aim, they aim to preserve the social order. They aim to preserve that stability, the cultural continuity. So, if you look at from that lens, smartphones are actually portrayed as a threat to traditional family values and a source of moral disorder. So the panchayat basically justify the ban by claiming that it is basically protecting the social cohesion and the cultural discipline and the family honor. But functionalism also shows us a danger, right? Stability is often preserved at the cost of individual freedom, especially women's freedom. Even when we talk about honor killing, most of the cases, who's getting killed? It's the women. And of the responsibility of protecting the honor is with whom? It is with the women. That's how it is treated, right? It's a patriarchal society. Okay, now let's look at the caste and social control, right? We can look at the informal power structure here. You can use M.N. Srinivas concept of dominant caste, and we can understand how caste panchayats basically operate. And these panchayats that we are discussing act as informal regulatory bodies. This is beyond police, beyond judiciary. So this is informal regulatory body, and they exercise moral authority and they enforce behavioral norms. Norms means the expected behavior. So the women's behavior becomes the primary site of regulation, mainly because you see, control over women means control over caste honor. So it's the kind of you are giving responsibility to protect the honor of the caste to the women, and you control women, you can protect the honor of the caste. And that's the reason why when you see honor killing, most of the cases women are getting killed over the right beyond men. And control over communication means control over mobility and choice. So that means that patriarchal values will be stable. And it's a kind of parallel legal system, and it's a kind of constitutional bypass also. You see, this there is one person, Nandini Sundar, in fact, highlighted caste panchayat act as parallel legal system, and it's outside the constitutional accountability. And these bodies bypass the fundamental rights, natural justice, and everything. They undermine the legal equality, right? You don't have human right also, basic dignity you don't have. You don't have the right to life also, and disproportionately target women and the marginalized group if you look at many of the cases. And in this case here, a community, that decision overrides the freedom of expression, which is fundamental right, the personal liberty, the right to life, right, life with dignity, gender equality. All these have been bypassed and overriding this decision. So that's why it's beyond constitution. And again, you can also talk about sociologist Dibankar Gupta. Here the explanation, is with a crucial contradiction. See, this is how, in fact, when I used to write essay on women, see, one thing that I can tell you when it comes to UPSC, women is a super marketable item, women and Gandhi. So I used to write something like this. On one side, women is treated as goddesses, right? We have Lakshmi, Saraswati, and all these devatas and devis. But at the other side, women facing problems like feticide, infanticide, and as a infant infanticide, as a you know at the first stage it's feticide, then infanticide, and then as a sister she's facing discrimination, and then when she's growing up, and then there is a domestic violence, and then as a widow. I used to write like this, and that was something which is good. Okay, let's come back to the Bangar Gupta. Women are often celebrated as symbols of honor and bearers of tradition and the cultural custodians, but the real power that remains firmly with men. So this is actually symbolic respect, and that symbolic respect is basically used to justify surveillance, restrictions, and control over everyday life choices of women. Right. And again, we can look at modernization perspective. According to Yogendra Singh, modernization without social change. Yogendra Singh, you can use this case represent a selective modernization. You might have read this, right? So what does that mean when we talk about selective modernization? Technology enters society. Economic and digital growth is happening, but social values remain unchanged. So what we get digital tools without digital freedom, and smartphones without autonomy, and modern devices trapped in traditional power structure. So that's what you mean by selective modernization. Use these terms, guys. These are gold mines. Okay. Now, why this example is gold for UPSC answers? See, this single case can be used across multiple dimensions. You get question on patriarchy and gender justice. You can use it with multiple perspective, as I discussed. Caste and social control. You can use it beautifully. Tradition versus modernity. You can use it. Whatever I have discussed, the selective modernization. Informal institutions versus constitutional morality. Digital divide and women empowerment. At the same time, you can use it in GS1 society, GS2 governance and rights area, ethics and essay papers, right? So, see, let's end this discussion with a core sociological insight. When tradition fears autonomy, it does not confront ideas directly, it controls women through restrictions. So the ban on smartphone is not, fear of technology. It is fear of women thinking, getting connected, and choosing independently. And that you don't want to happen. So that will be challenging patriarchy. If she get access, if she get communication, if she get that connections, then it is going to threaten the patriarchal setup, right? And that's where everything lies around in our society and culture. And that's why sociology matters, because it reveals power where society claims tradition. So I hope you got some value from the session. You got some very good sociological perspective and understanding on this topic. Sociology students, it's very important for others also. Knowing this is very important. You get better perspective to write the answer. So see you guys in the next video. If you're looking for any classes or mentorship or test series, you can get in touch with us. See you there.